Okay, so we'll have a look here, a few things that I've added to the retail project and a few things that I've changed as well. First thing is probably the slabs on the ground floor level. If I select each one, oh, that's the roof. If you're having trouble selecting because you've got your magnet tool on, if you try and select the slab, you'll probably select the roof because it's sitting over the top. If you just tap your tab key, you can then select whatever's underneath there again. So if I'm hovering over the top and it's selecting roof, tap the tab key and click and it selects the slab. Now you can see that I've pulled these slabs back. So that one, as well as that one, as well as that one, as well as that one. So they've all been pulled back to 650 millimeters above grid line Y1. Just so they're sitting on the inside of the shop fronts, and we can then sort of sit the shop front subsill up on top hats until we reach the right height, I think. Otherwise we can readjust that and bring it to the outside. It's a matter of deciding, do you want your rebate of your slab sitting inside the shop fronts or outside the shop fronts. Now you can see the shapes that I've done also for this slab here. If I select that one, after I've pulled each one of these slabs back to 650 behind grid line Y1 or above grid line Y1, I've then readjusted this slab here to form the apron and the core slab in one. So you change these shapes pretty easily by just using the pet tool. I'll just show you that if I needed another shape coming around here, if I click on the edge again and make sure the pet tool is in this first one for add new node, you can see then how you can just keep adding new nodes to change the shape. Click on it again, add new node, and keep changing the shape. Click on an edge again, add new node, and keep changing the shape until you've got enough nodes that you can pull into the right shape that you're after. Okay, that's the slab. I'll just undo that and do a few things there. So that's the slabs done. The next thing is some of the view settings that I've changed just to make it easier to see the dimensions that I've put it on here, but it's worthwhile talking about those also. So under view, on-screen view options, I've done a few things like turned off the roof pivot lines so you won't see the pivot direction line associated with each of the roofs. I've also turned off the marker range. So by turning off the marker range, I'll just turn it back on again. You can see how some of these elevation markers and section markers have got their range lines turned on. So it cleans up your drawing a lot if you just view on-screen view options and turn off the marker range. And what else have I done? That's probably about the roof pivot lines and the marker range, I think, were the main two. I might have also done view on-screen view options. I might have also done text box handles. If I turn those text box handles on again, you can see around each bit the text on the dimensions. It just makes it a little bit easier to see. If we turn those off, view on-screen view options, text box handles. That'll do us for the moment. That just means that's just going to make it a bit easier to see some of my layouts. Now the next thing that I've done is I've placed an elevator. So this is the elevator, just through the object tool and selecting the elevator object. It was under Basic Library, ArchiCAD 20, Basic Library, Mechanical Elevators and Escalators. So selected the elevator tool. And then under elevator settings here, there's a whole heap of general settings that you can go through to set up the type of elevator that you're after. Main settings, if we just start with general to show you a few things, the general settings, the main one is the form. You can just change your form to segmented sort of shapes, which we don't want. Just a rectangular shape is more normal. And if you've got a second opening like a back door, you can set up the side door, whether the extra doors go on the sides, side 1, side 2 or the rear. And the counterweight position. whether your particular elevator has got a counterweight or a monospace motor drive would take the place of a counterweight, being either on either of the sides or at the rear. So I've just set up those, and what I've also done, we'll just go to the dimensions then. So when you've got your dimensions from your elevator supplier, you can then just place these. Now the important thing is you will want to turn on show elevator shaft. Otherwise I think it's just a 2D thing well, it does actually put a 3D model of the car in, but you don't get the openings in the core wall unless you turn on the elevator shaft. You don't get the openings in the elevator shaft wall with the call panels and things like that unless you show elevator shaft. So if you show the elevator shaft, then you can fill in all your dimensions from your elevator manufacturer, elevator car information, door styles, whether they're centre opening doors, and some heights, etc. Next thing is slabs and overruns. So that you get your lift well set up, we can go to a 1300 deep lift well, or whatever your elevator manufacturer has specified, and the same with the head height at the top of the elevator. Story settings, this is where you said how many more stories do you want to go above or below. We haven't got a basement level, so we're putting 0 below but only 1 story above. And elevator shaft, this is where you can set up the door style for your elevator shaft, and that's probably around about it. So I'll just click OK to all of that. And probably also you need to take into consideration in slabs and overruns. See, I've got a total of 1300 plus 150 here. So we want to set the bottom of this arrangement to negative 1450 from ground floor level. That way it'll bring the opening, the first floor level, or the lowest landing down at ground floor. If we set it up to 1300 plus 150, gives me 1450 here for the bottom of the elevator from ground floor. So if we click OK to all of that, and I then decided, I think after I put that in, that I wanted my counterweight to be, or my motor drive to be on the right hand side here. And even though probably the better way of doing it would have been to have gone back to one of the settings here for general settings and change the counterweight position here, I forgot about that, and what I've done is after I put this in I did a mirror, and I've mirrored this over to this side. The problem is that what we want to use is we'd want to use concrete tilt-up panels for the lift shaft. So it's put those in for us and it allowed us to dimension them back in the model here at 150. So that was in dimensions, I think. So that's why I've got 150 millimeters for the elevator shaft. But it only allows you to do it all the way around. It doesn't allow you to have different wall thicknesses on different sides of the elevator shaft. So that's why I decided to do concrete tilt-up walls all the way around, which is probably better in modern elevator practice. Conventionally, years ago, the first call probably would have been to concrete block. But probably these days more the elevator manufacturers would prefer a higher tolerance finish for the inside of their shaft, which you can probably get better with concrete tilt-up or preformed panels of some sort. So, and the only way I could do this also is then to bury the right-hand wall into the concrete tilt-up wall, so it laps over the top. And you might find that it comes in originally like this, where it overtakes the concrete wall. So if that happens, just select your concrete tilt-up wall, right click, display order, and bring to front, because we would probably want the concrete tilt-up wall to be the dominant piece. Just see if I'm accurately placed that. No, I haven't. So I want to do pet tool drag, and just drag that into a more accurate position. Okay, so that's the elevator being placed.